The silver ships hung in Earth's sky like deadly stars, their hulls gleaming against the blue atmosphere. Commander Velthak stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the planet below through the massive viewing screen. His scaled hands gripped the metal railing as he observed the human cities burning. Target the next population center, he ordered his weapons officer. The crystalline being nodded, its body catching the light from the control panels. Energy beams lanced down from the fleet, turning another human city into ash and smoke. It had been so easy. The humans, with their primitive rockets and crude weapons, had lasted only 3 days against the Galactic Confederation's advanced technology. Their missiles bounced harmlessly off energy shields while their fastest ships moved like crawling insects, compared to vessels that could cross star systems. In hours, the Zixi commander beside Velthak hummed with satisfaction, the sound resonating through his crystal body. The human threat is ended, he sang in harmonic tones. Their violence will never spread beyond this system. On the planet's surface, white flags appeared over the remaining cities. The human leaders were surrendering, their voices crackling over communication channels as they begged for mercy. Velthak allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. The Confederation had acted swiftly to prevent disaster. Humans were dangerous, not because they were strong, but because they were unpredictable. While other species had joined galactic civilization through careful negotiation and peaceful contact, humans had been preparing for war from the moment they detected alien signals. Their planet bristled with weapons, their people spoke of conquest among the stars, and their entertainment glorified violence and conflict. The Confederation had seen species like this before. Left unchecked, they would eventually develop faster than light travel and spread their chaos across peaceful worlds. Better to stop them now, while they were still trapped on one planet, in the ruins of Sol. Dr. Hannah Kim pulled herself from the collapsed laboratory building. Blood ran down her face from a cut on her forehead, and her white coat was torn and dirty. Around her, the Advanced Physics Institute lay in smoking pieces. Years of research, gone in seconds, but she still clutched the data storage device against her chest. The alien technology samples they had been studying, the energy readings from the invasion ships, the recorded communication frequencies, it was all here. Her team was dead. The building was destroyed, but the information survived. Hannah looked up at the alien ships hanging in the sky like metal clouds. They thought humanity was finished. They thought 3 days of bombing had broken human civilization forever. She tucked the data device into her jacket and began walking toward the underground tunnels that connected the city's subway system. Thousands of miles away, in the Rocky Mountains of what used to be called America, Colonel June Park watched the surrender broadcast on a handheld radio. The crackling voice of Earth's remaining government officials accepted all terms from the alien fleet. Total surrender. No conditions. Complete submission to Confederation authority. June turned off the radio and looked at the 37 people gathered in the mountain cave. They were all that remained of his military unit, plus some civilians who had fled the cities when the bombing started. They had weapons, supplies, and training. More importantly, they had something the aliens didn't expect humans to possess. After such a crushing defeat, they had hope. "Sir," said Lieutenant Sung Lee, a young communications officer who had helped establish their hidden radio network. "What are our orders?" June looked around the cave at the faces watching him. Engineers, soldiers, scientists, teachers, people who had lost everything but were still breathing. The aliens probably thought humans would spend the next few months crying over their losses, then slowly die out as their technology failed and their society collapsed. "Our orders are to survive," June said quietly, "and to learn." On the planet's night side, similar groups gathered in subway tunnels, abandoned mines, forest hideouts, and underground bunkers. Thousands of small communities, each thinking they might be the only survivors, each beginning the same quiet work of staying alive and staying hidden. Dr. Mina Ko had been in a deep underground laboratory when the bombs fell. She emerged 3 days later to find her university city completely destroyed, but the underground facility still had power, and more importantly, it had the alien artifact they had been studying for the past year. A piece of hull metal from a scout ship that had crashed the previous spring. Engineer Bo Han saved 17 people from a collapsed factory by leading them through maintenance tunnels to safety. He brought with him a toolbox and an alien power cell that had fallen from a damaged enemy fighter during the invasion. Across the planet, in hundreds of hidden places, humanity began its real education. Not the formal learning of schools and universities, but the desperate knowledge gathering of a species that had looked death in the face and refused to accept it. The aliens finished their celebration broadcasts and began dividing Earth's resources among Confederation member species. Mining rights, territorial claims, colonization schedules. They planned humanity's planet like it was already empty. Above in their ships, they congratulated themselves on solving the human problem quickly and efficiently. Below, on the surface, in the dark places where survivors gathered, humanity's real story was just beginning. The war was over, but the education had begun. 2 years passed like a slow, quiet dream. The alien ships no longer filled Earth's skies in massive fleets. Only a few patrol vessels remained, checking on mining operations and the new colonies being built for the Zik. The Confederation had moved on to other business, treating Earth like a solved problem. In the crystal cities of the Zixi homeworld, Earth was already becoming a distant memory. The mining reports showed good progress extracting rare metals. From the planet's crust, the terraforming machines were slowly changing the atmosphere in selected regions to better suit crystalline life forms. Everything was proceeding according to plan. The surviving humans appeared exactly as predicted. Small groups of scavengers picked through the ruins of their old cities, gathering scraps of metal and food. They avoided the alien patrols and kept to themselves in temporary shelters. Confederation observers noted their behavior with satisfaction. Broken, scattered, no longer a threat to anyone. What the observers didn't see was the city growing beneath their feet. In the old subway tunnels under Seoul, Dr. Hannah Kim worked by the light of improvised electric lamps. The tunnels had become a maze of workshops, laboratories, and living spaces. Over 500 people now lived in the underground network. Connected to similar communities through hidden communication lines, the data she had saved from the Physics Institute had become the foundation for something unprecedented. Human, engineers, and alien technology, working together in ways the Confederation had never imagined possible. "Show me the power coupling again," she said to engineer Young Kim, who was carefully dismantling an alien energy cell. They had learned to take apart the devices piece by piece, understanding each component before trying to rebuild them. "The crystal matrix stores energy in frequency patterns," Young explained, his hands steady as he worked. "But if we change the frequency just slightly, we can make it work with our equipment." The breakthrough had come 6 months earlier when they realized alien technology wasn't actually superior to human technology. It was just different. The aliens had developed their tools over thousands of years of peaceful cooperation. They built devices that lasted forever and never needed repair. But they also never needed to adapt or change. Humans had learned to build things that could be modified, improved, and combined in new ways. When human creativity met alien engineering, the results surprised everyone. In the Rocky Mountains, Colonel June Park's group had grown from 37 survivors to over 2. They had made contact with 12 other communities across the continent, sharing information and resources through a network of hidden radio stations. Lieutenant Sung Lee had become their chief communications expert, developing new ways to hide messages inside the alien data streams that flowed between mining stations. The aliens monitored human radio frequencies, but they never thought to check their own communication systems for human signals. "We have confirmation from the California group," Sung reported during their evening briefing. "They successfully tested the new explosive device. The alien hull material can be damaged if we hit it with exactly the right frequency." June nodded. Every piece of information was valuable, but they had to be patient. The aliens expected humans to attack randomly and desperately, like animals. Instead, they were learning to think like scientists and engineers. Dr. Mina Ko had discovered something remarkable in her underground laboratory. The alien artifact she had been studying contained detailed information about Confederation technology, but it was written in mathematical formulas rather than words. Mathematics was universal. The same equations worked for any species. "Their faster-than-light communication uses quantum entanglement," she explained to her team, "but they're doing it in a very complicated way. We might be able to build our own system using simpler methods." The work was slow and dangerous. Any mistake could create an explosion or send a signal that alien monitors might detect. But gradually, piece by piece, humans were learning to speak the language of advanced technology. Bohan had become something like a magician with alien power systems. He could take a damaged alien device and make it work with human tools, or combine several broken pieces into something entirely new. His workshop in the old subway tunnels had become a pilgrimage site for other engineers. "The key is understanding what they were trying to achieve," he told his students. "They built these devices to work perfectly in their environment. We need to make them work perfectly in ours." The aliens had made their second mistake. They had left their technology lying around where humans could find it. Above ground, Confederation patrols continued their routine flights over human settlements. They reported the same thing every month: scattered survivors, primitive shelters, no signs of organized resistance. The humans were dying out slowly, just as predicted. What they didn't report was the small things: equipment that malfunctioned more often than it should, supply convoys that took longer routes to avoid certain areas, communication glitches that lasted just a few seconds but seemed to happen more frequently. These problems were noted in official reports, but marked as normal operational difficulties. The idea that primitive humans might be causing deliberate sabotage was so ridiculous that no one seriously considered it. In the deep tunnels beneath Earth's surface, humanity was learning to be invisible. They were becoming ghosts in their own world, watching and learning, while their enemies grew comfortable and careless. The silence was not empty. It was full of preparation, planning, and the quiet sound of human ingenuity awakening to possibilities the aliens had never imagined. The Confederation had won the war, but they had not won the peace, and in the darkness below, humanity was getting ready to teach them the difference. The attacks began at sunrise on a Tuesday morning. Across 3 continents, alien mining facilities went dark within minutes of each other, not destroyed by explosions or fire, but simply stopped working as their power systems failed in ways that made no sense to Confederation engineers. Commander Velthak received the first reports while eating his morning meal aboard his flagship. Equipment failures at 17 locations, all happening at nearly the same time. His communications officer, a nervous Techron with glowing cybernetic implants, handed him another message every few minutes. Sir, the mining station in what used to be Australia reports complete power loss. Their backup systems won't activate. The South American facilities have the same problem. All their equipment is intact, but nothing works. Sir, the African sites, They're requesting immediate technical support. Velthak set down his eating utensil and studied the reports. Equipment didn't fail like this. 17 separate locations, using different types of machinery, all experiencing identical problems at the same time. This wasn't an accident. In the tunnels beneath Seoul, Dr. Hannah Kim smiled as the success reports came through their hidden communication network. 2 years of careful preparation had led to this moment. They had learned exactly how alien power systems worked, and more importantly, how to make them stop working. The electromagnetic pulse devices performed perfectly, reported engineer Young Kim. Each mining station lost power within 30 seconds of activation. No permanent damage to the equipment, just complete shutdown. But the attacks weren't random acts of sabotage. While alien technicians rushed to repair their mining operations, human teams moved in to collect something far more valuable than revenge. They captured alien personnel and took advanced technology that had never been available before. Lieutenant Sung Lee coordinated the communication between attack teams. Team 7 has secured 3 HFY engineers and their portable analysis equipment. Team 12 captured an intact power core and 2 Techron data storage devices. The humans moved like shadows through terrain. Their enemies couldn't navigate effectively. They knew every tunnel, every hidden path, every weakness in the alien security systems. More importantly, they knew exactly what they wanted and how to get it without alerting the main Confederation forces. Colonel June Park watched the operation from his command center in the Rocky Mountains. Months of planning had created this moment. Simultaneous strikes that looked like equipment failures but were actually carefully planned intelligence-gathering missions. Phase 1 complete, he announced to his team. All groups withdraw to safe positions. Begin Phase 2 analysis immediately. Dr. Mina Kao had been waiting for this day for 2 years. The captured alien equipment contained information that could change everything. Detailed technical specifications, communication protocols, and most valuable of all, security codes. For Confederation networks, we're not just stealing their technology anymore, she explained to her research team. We're learning to think like they do. And once we understand their thinking, we can predict their actions. The real breakthrough came when they began interrogating the captured aliens. The HFY engineers were cooperative, even helpful. Once they realized humans weren't planning to kill them, they had never encountered a species that captured enemies for information rather than revenge. Your equipment failures were not accidents, one of the crystal beings admitted through harmonic translator. But we cannot understand how primitive beings accomplished such precise technical sabotage. That was when Dr. Hannah Kim learned the truth that changed everything. We are not primitive, she replied calmly. You invaded us because you were afraid of what we might become. You didn't conquer Earth to gain resources or territory. You attacked us to prevent us from reaching the stars. The HFY engineer's crystalline body flickered with colors that indicated surprise and fear. How do you know this classified information? Because we've been listening to your communications for months, Hannah said. We know about the Confederation debates before the invasion. We know you called us a dangerous species that had to be stopped before we developed faster-than-light travel. We know you were afraid of human unpredictability, disrupting galactic peace. The revelation spread through human communities like wildfire. They hadn't been conquered because they were weak or inferior. They had been attacked because they represented a threat to the established order of galactic civilization. Captain Dong Kim transmitted the discovery to resistance cells worldwide. They didn't invade us because we were failures. They invaded us because they were scared of our potential. The knowledge changed everything. Human engineers began working with new purpose, understanding that their creativity and adaptability were not weaknesses, but advantages that even advanced alien species feared. Dr. KO's team started developing hybrid technologies that combined human ingenuity with alien engineering in ways that confused Confederation experts. Bohan created the first human-designed faster-than-light communication device using principles learned from captured equipment. It was crude compared to alien systems, but it worked, and more importantly, it couldn't be detected by Confederation monitoring systems. "We're not trying to copy their technology anymore," he explained to amazed colleagues. "We're improving it." Commander Velthak arrived at Earth expecting to handle a simple cleanup operation. Instead, he found evidence of technological advancement that shouldn't have been possible from a supposedly broken species. The attacks showed tactical sophistication that challenged every assumption about human capabilities. "Request immediate reinforcements," he ordered his communications officer. "The human problem is not solved. It's getting worse." In the deep tunnels of Earth, humanity was no longer hiding. They were preparing for the next phase of their education, and this time, they would be teaching the lessons. The first human ship appeared at the edge of the Proxima system on a Wednesday morning, impossible but undeniable. The Confederation patrol vessel detected it on long-range sensors, a crude-looking craft that shouldn't have existed, moving through space in ways that defied every prediction about human capabilities. Commander Velthak stared at the sensor readings in his command center on Earth, his scaled hands gripping the display console. 3 years ago, humans had possessed only primitive chemical rockets that barely reached their own moon. Now they were somehow crossing interstellar space. "Confirm the readings," he ordered his sensor officer. "Are we certain this is a human vessel?" The Techron officer's cybernetic implants flickered as he processed the data. "Hull design matches no known Confederation technology. Energy signatures are irregular but functional. Ship appears to be constructed from salvaged alien components combined with unknown human engineering." More reports flooded in from across Confederation space. Human ships at the Vega system. Strange vessels near the trade routes around Alpha Centauri, unidentified craft that appeared, gathered information, and vanished before patrol ships could intercept them. The Confederation Council called an emergency session. Species that had been confident in their victory over humanity now faced an enemy that had learned to move between the stars using technology they didn't fully understand. Major Sun Park commanded the reconnaissance division of humanity's new fleet from the bridge of a ship that looked like it had been built in someone's garage, which, in many ways, it had been. The vessel combined salvaged alien hull plating with human-designed engines and weapon systems that confused enemy sensors. Approached the Confederation mining station at minimum power, he ordered his pilot. "We need to gather intelligence on their defensive capabilities without triggering an alert." The ship moved closer to the alien facility, its hybrid stealth system making it nearly invisible to conventional sensors. Human engineers had learned to think differently about space travel, combining alien technology with human creativity to produce results that neither species could have achieved alone. Dr. Han Zhou led the intelligence analysis team from her workstation in the ship's cramped research section. She studied the data streams they intercepted from Confederation communications, looking for patterns that revealed weaknesses in alien command structures. Their military responds to threats using predetermined protocols. She explained to Major Park, "They have procedures for every situation they've encountered before, but they've never encountered anything like us." That was humanity's greatest advantage. The Confederation had fought wars for thousands of years, but always against enemies that followed predictable patterns. Species that used familiar technology, employed standard tactics, and thought in ways that made sense to galactic military planners. Humans did none of these things. Engineer Young Kim had designed the ship's weapon systems by combining alien energy projectors with human targeting computers. The result was equipment that worked better than either species could have created separately, but also behaved in ways that confused enemy defensive systems. Their shields are designed to stop energy weapons that follow specific frequency patterns, he reported during a combat briefing. "Our hybrid systems produce energy signatures they can't predict or counter effectively." Commander Velthak found himself chasing shadows across the galaxy. Every time Confederation forces responded to reports of human ships, they arrived to find empty space and confused witnesses. The humans had learned to fight like ghosts, appearing long enough to gather information or cause damage, then vanishing before retaliation was possible. The breakthrough that terrified alien military leaders came during a battle near the Sirius system. A human ship, outnumbered 5-1, had not only survived an encounter with a Confederation patrol, but had actually disabled 2 alien vessels before escaping. Analyzed the combat recordings, Velthak ordered his tactical team, "How did one primitive ship defeat 2 advanced patrol craft?" The answer was disturbing. The human vessel had somehow predicted the exact moves each alien ship would make, countering their attacks before they happened and exploiting weaknesses the Confederation didn't know existed in their own technology. Captain Sol Kim had been studying alien military tactics for 3 years. learning to think like every species in the Confederation while maintaining his uniquely human perspective. He could predict how ZXI ships would respond to threats, anticipate Morthill gas cloud maneuvers, and exploit vulnerabilities in Techrone cybernetic control systems. They fight the same way every time, he explained to his crew. Each species has developed perfect tactics for fighting other species like themselves, but none of them know how to fight us, because we don't follow any rules they understand. The psychological impact spread through Confederation space like a virus. Military units that had been confident in their superiority now faced an enemy that seemed to know their every move before they made it. Equipment failed in ways that shouldn't have been possible. Tactics that had worked for centuries suddenly became useless. From her command center in the rebuilt facilities beneath Seoul, Dr. Hannah Kim broadcast a message across the galaxy using the Confederation's own communication networks. Her words reached every species, every world, every ship in civilized space. You celebrated when Earth fell, her voice said clearly in the universal translator frequency. You toasted our defeat and divided our world among yourselves. But you made one critical mistake. You assumed that defeating us meant destroying us. You forgot that humans learn from every failure, adapt to every challenge, and grow stronger through every hardship. The hunt had begun, but the roles of predator and prey were no longer clear. In the vast darkness between stars, humanity was teaching the galaxy a new lesson about what it meant to underestimate the power of adaptation, determination, and the refusal to accept defeat. The end came not with a massive battle, but with 1,000 small defeats happening everywhere at once. Across the galaxy, Confederation worlds woke up to find their defenses offline, their communications disrupted, and their carefully maintained systems falling apart in ways that should have been impossible. On Nexus Prime, the Confederation capital, Agent Min Kim walked through corridors that should have been impossible for any human to access. Her team had spent months learning the patterns of alien security systems, finding the blind spots that existed because no one had ever thought to look for them. Defense grid is down, she whispered into her communication device. Beginning Phase 2. The Techron cybernetic network that controlled the planet's defenses had a weakness that its creators never suspected. Human hackers had learned to think like machines while still thinking like humans, creating a hybrid approach that confused artificial intelligence systems designed to counter alien logic patterns. Engineer Bohan's virus programs spread through the network like digital wildfire, not destroying anything but simply changing how systems interpreted their own commands. Doors that should stay locked opened. Weapons that should fire stayed silent. Communication arrays that should broadcast instead listened. Thousands of light years away, the crystal cities of the ZXI homeworld began to sing their own destruction. Dr. Mina Kohad discovered that crystalline architecture could be turned into a weapon using the species' own harmonic communication frequencies. From hidden transmitters placed by human infiltration teams, precisely calculated sound waves resonated through the crystal structures. The buildings didn't explode. They simply sang themselves apart, their molecular bonds dissolving as harmonic frequencies reached critical resonance points. The crystal spires are collapsing, reported Captain Dong Kim from orbit above the ZXI world. No casualties detected. The structures are just coming apart. The Morthill gas giant refineries suffered a different fate. Human-designed computer viruses corrupted their atmospheric processing systems, causing the delicate chemical balance required for Morthill survival to shift into something toxic for their species but harmless to others. Dr. Ko had spent years learning how each alien species thought, worked, and lived. Now she used that knowledge not to destroy them, but to make their oppressive systems impossible to maintain. Commander Velthek stood in his command center on Earth, watching reports flow in from across Confederation space. Every species, every world, every major installation was experiencing simultaneous system failures. The scale of coordination required for such an operation should have been beyond human capabilities. Sir, his communications officer reported, his cybernetic implants flickering with stress patterns. We're receiving a transmission on all frequencies. It's from the human leader. Dr. Hannah Kim's face appeared on screens throughout the Confederation fleet. Behind her, the rebuilt laboratories beneath Seoul hummed with activity as human technicians operated equipment that seamlessly blended alien technology with human innovation. Commander Velthak, she said calmly, we need to talk. You have attacked civilian populations, Velthak replied, his voice tight with anger. This is against all laws of civilized warfare. Hannah's expression didn't change. We haven't killed anyone. We've simply made it impossible for you to continue controlling species that never asked to be controlled. That was when Velthak realized the true scope of what humanity had accomplished. They weren't conquering the galaxy, they were liberating it. The system failures weren't random attacks, but carefully planned operations to free suppress civilizations from Confederation dominance. You don't understand, he said. The Confederation maintains peace. Without our guidance, these species will destroy themselves in wars and chaos. Peace? Hannah asked. Or stagnation? We've been studying your history, Commander, for 10,000 years. The Confederation has prevented any species from developing beyond the limits you set. You maintain order by ensuring no one can change or grow. The transmission shifted to show scenes from across the galaxy. On worlds that had been under Confederation control for centuries, local populations were emerging from underground facilities, where they had been developing their own technologies in secret. Species that had seemed content with their assigned roles were revealing hidden capabilities that Confederation observers had never suspected. We didn't conquer anyone, Hannah continued. We just showed them that change was possible. Colonel June Park coordinated the liberation efforts from his command center in the Rocky Mountains. His teams were working with dozens of alien species who had been waiting for generations for someone to show them how to break free from Confederation control. That Althany have activated their hidden fleet, he reported. The Viridian colonies are declaring independence. The Rim worlds are requesting technical assistance for their development projects. The galaxy was transforming, not through conquest but through choice. Species that had been suppressed were suddenly free to explore their own potential. Technologies that had been forbidden were being developed and shared. The careful balance of power that the Confederation had maintained for millennia was dissolving into something new and unpredictable. Engineer Young Kim supervised the construction of new communication networks that connected previously isolated worlds. We're not building an empire, he explained to his mixed human-alien work crews. We're building a network where everyone can grow and change. Commander Velthak made his final transmission from his flagship as Confederation authority collapsed around him. You've destroyed galactic civilization, he said to Dr. Kim. Chaos will follow. Species will fight wars that have been prevented. For thousands of years, maybe, Hannah replied. But they'll be free to choose their own path. And we've learned something about humans that even we didn't fully understand. We don't conquer, we inspire. We don't rule, we teach, and we never ever give up. Earth's cities rose from their ashes, rebuilt with hybrid technology that represented the best of human and alien engineering. Humanity took its place not as galactic rulers but as teachers, guides, and partners in a new age of growth and possibility. The species everyone had laughed at when it fell had become the catalyst for the greatest transformation in galactic history. Retry Claude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.